Hey guys, good morning everyone. It's me, Krebs. Obviously you can maybe tell it's morning because of the rough hair that I've got. Whenever you watch videos and I got rough hair or something, I look awful, that's probably because I just woken up. But I've just got this video that I want to quickly make for you guys and just talk about something that's a little bit frustrating me at the moment. It's about a video that I released yesterday, and you guys probably know what it is. It's Bang Bang Bang. It's the game where I had with David, a live game. And I actually really appreciate that a lot of you have actually enjoyed that video, but what really frustrates me is some of the more hardcore Company of Heroes fans getting to me a little bit, just because they think that I'm doing things wrong in the game. They think, oh, I'm floating so much manpower, I'm using a sniper spam, and various things like that, leaving two MGs on the left-hand flank. You'll have to see the game to really understand. And they're basically saying, oh, it's a newbie thing. I'm a newbie for doing stuff like that. But in fact, I'm actually doing a lot of these things for a purpose, and I'm going to talk about that along with something else that I think is really important for this whole message. So the two things I'm going to be talking about is that one, frustration, and to follow that up with is these messages in front of your screen that you're going to be able to see of all the people that I've tried to get to join Company of Heroes. So this video is actually going to be about my mission in Company of Heroes, and actually specifically why I got started with YouTube in the first place. So the main frustration of why it's, getting to me a little bit is because I've played Company of Heroes since April of 2007. So now that if you just do the quick math, that's over 5 years, alright, almost 5.5 years if anything. Yes, I don't play like the absolute pros out there, like, I don't know, Inverse and Siberian Platoon, for example. I don't play at that level, but then again, I'm not asking to play at that level. I don't play competitively. If you watch my videos, I specifically say I don't like playing auto match just because I'm not into that whole scene. I'm a casual gamer. I enjoy doing the commentaries and maybe educating you guys with what I know thus far. I like to have that theory inside my head, but maybe it's a little bit more difficult for me to actually practice it, right? But what I really want to say here is, yes, I am not the absolute best, but I do have a competent understanding of everything that I'm doing in the game. So say, for example, if you haven't watched the video, I would highly recommend watching it in the Bang 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 video. What I do, for example, at the beginning is that I have an MG and also a sniper strategy that I go for. You could almost essentially say that I went for sniper spam. Yes, I did go for that, but I mentioned that I didn't want to go for a Volk spam. So in a way, in Company of Heroes, you're going to have to build sort of almost a spam no matter what you go for. Because if you go for Volk's Grenadiers, you have a few squads out of that, and then people will be like, oh, you're going for a Volk spam. But I said specifically, because I was going for so many Volks in the last video, I'll maybe go for a different strategy this time and go for MGs and snipers. Turned out to be really effective. Left hand side was locked down, but then again my opponent wasn't really there. I had two MGs on that one side. Reason being, because of that, was that one MG was going to be at the front at the stone wall, whilst one was going to be a little bit farther back to protect that MG at the stone wall. If that one that was farther back was left there, then it means that the opponent could easily get to the stone wall and then come in from flanks, and then it'd be screwed. By having two MGs there, I can sort of lock down both entrances. Notice on Rails and Metal that there's two entrances onto that field on the left hand side. So having those two MGs there essentially allows me to lock down that area. Sure, I could have brought them to the right hand side, but what is the point if I can, lock down an area and just keep them there and just make sure that no opponents come there? Because if they ever did in the future, then maybe it would get harassed, we'd lose those points, and then I'd have to fight for them. So if I can actually keep an area with just a few units, I might as well do that. A lot of you were also hating the sniper spam. Now, the American was no different. The American went for sniper spam himself, and I don't usually go for a sniper spam. You can ask Sergey, you can ask David. I hardly ever go for such a thing. But I decided to actually go for it from watching a few other replays and just see how effective it was going to be, and maybe just show you guys, right? And indeed, it was very effective, and it's one of the reasons why Company of Heroes 2 is going to address the whole issue with snipers, right? But then again, it's a sniper spam. You can still counter it. They try to bring out their own snipers. What they easily could have done was actually gone for a single M8 early on, and that would have countered everything. So it's not like, oh yeah, sure, this sniper spam is really good against infantry, but it does nothing against tanks. So if they just brought out a simple M8, then everything would just crumble apart, okay? Now, the final thing that I want to hit about is also manpower floating. Somebody specifically mentioned this, and I believe it's the Chiliti. Mentioned this at 12:30 mark. I was floating around 1,200 manpower. Now, I always like to say, never ever float manpower. But when it comes to myself, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. The reason is, though, and I think maybe I could apply this to you guys, and I think I have to change my message about manpower floating, is the reason I keep it like that is because if I'm comfortable with the units that I have on the field right now, so at the moment I had like, I don't know, 3 snipers out on the field, and so those MGs, and I was working my way up to a T3 Sturm Armory, I felt comfortable with having those early game units. I thought I had to start thinking about, you know, tanks and the enemy coming out with M8s or anything heavier than that. And so, yes, I kept that manpower high, but the reason is because I wanted to spend it on vehicles or, I don't know, anti-tank as soon as I had access to it. So as soon as I got to that T3 Sturm Armory, then I'd be able to mass produce a few Stugs, for example. It's not like I was just keeping it there because, oh, I wasn't aware. I was fully aware. Trust me, by the time I have 1,200 manpower, I'm not going to be that daft. Of course, I'm going to be aware of how much manpower I have. As soon as the most manpower that I ever maybe get away with is maybe floating around 400 that I don't notice. I notice anything around there because I'm always looking back and forth between my resources. If I'm ever floating a huge amount of manpower, it's because I'm saving up for something in the future. So it's that prospective look of actually thinking about something like that in the future, okay? So I really need to just shoot down those comments because I am doing everything in the game for a reason. I don't mention it during the actual gameplay because simply put, it's just too much to explain and it just sort of gets in the way of my concentration and that. But I wish if there was a way of me actually explaining why I do these sort of things that seem noobish. They all have a reason to them and they all lead up to that victory, okay? So that is why I'm a little bit frustrated with those comments. But anyway, on to the second part of the video here. This is actually the reason why I got involved with YouTube in the first scene. Yes, I was actually inspired by one Company of Heroes caster at the time. This guy's name was Harlequin Coho. He was indeed a very, very good commentator. In fact, I would say a lot better than I am. But he inspired me to do YouTube videos. The reason being because I was actually such a big fanatic of the defensive doctrine in Company of Heroes Online. I actually wrote a full guide on the website, and I wanted to actually start this channel off by supplying videos of my exact strategies for the defensive doctrine, and then eventually Company of Heroes Online closed, and so I led it on to Company of Heroes. So the whole reason I wanted to actually do these videos was to educate you guys, but to also spread the word of my strategies. And now that Company of Heroes is the main focus of the channel, it's also to spread the word of Company of Heroes, because there's a lot of people that are out there that simply do not know what the game is about. It's as simple as that, guys. So the whole reason is if I can, say, diverse my videos, try out different games, bring in people from different backgrounds, then they'll see this game, Company of Heroes, what is that? They'll watch it, they'll understand that this game is absolutely awesome. I mean, the whole reason we play Company of Heroes and enjoy it, whole reason I played Company of Heroes for 5 years and over, is because I love the game. Why would you stay with a game for so long and play it so consistently? At this stage of my life, I'm playing the game, I don't know, maybe a few times a week, but it used to be like I played it a few times a day, every single day. For a game to keep me here so long, it's because I love it so much, and the reason is because it's such a gem of an RTS. When you look at all the other RTSs out there, they're so standard. It's like they have hardly improved since the 90s or the early 2000s. Company of Heroes is a step in the right direction. It's one of the few games out there that have actually managed to do that. And it still maintains a very, very popular audience, quite a big audience. Not as big as some of the other games out there, the big names such as StarCraft 2 or League of Legends, whatever, right? But that is my whole point of why I'm trying to spread the game around, to try to get people to know it. So the bigger I get, so you can sort of think, you know, inversely proportional or maybe directly proportional, the bigger that Company of Heroes gets, right? And this is what I've actually been doing. I've been making this document up for the last, oh, I don't know now, a long, long period of time. Where I've just been saving these messages of people who have actually been introduced to Company of Heroes as a result of me. And now there's quite a few comments in here. There's actually 4 pages worth of comments, maybe 3.5 pages here. But I've just highlighted the ones in red that I'm going to read out to you guys because I thought those were the best. So the first one here, and these were each written by an individual person that was introduced to Company of Heroes by myself, okay? So the first one here says, "Hey there, I've recently started getting into watching replays of tournaments and such with commentary. And thanks to you, now I found an interest in Co where I previously had none. Keep it up." And see, these messages really do make me happy because as part of this mission, it almost feels like mission accomplished, right? That is what I've actually set out to do, and I've actually gotten to draw some of those people in, and so that is an absolutely brilliant thing. Don't listen to people who only want to see Co gameplay. The only reason I found this channel is because of Skyrim. Don't get me wrong, this channel has also made me extremely interested in Company of Heroes. I've watched about 35 episodes, and so he goes on and on and on. So, as again a testimony of why I do this diversity of different videos, you know, Skyrim that I previously used to do, that managed to get tens of thousands of views. One of them got over 100,000 views, and so you can imagine how many people were introduced to Company of Heroes when they normally wouldn't have been. And so that is just a guy actually mentioning this. And now the interesting sort of thing about all these comments is these are the people that actually wrote to me. And now I'm sort of a bit scared because a lot of people actually don't write comments. They can't be bothered. I would say a vast majority, probably like 90% of people don't write comments because they can't be bothered simply doing it. And so there's probably a lot of people out there that have been showing Co and probably play Co now, and they just haven't written a comment. Here's another one. "When I found your videos, I knew nothing about the game, and now I think this is the best multi-RTS what I see." Obviously, maybe not the best of English there, but this is now his best RTS that he plays. That's fantastic. "Dear Mr. Krebs, I once luckily came into possession of a copy of Co and instantly fell in love with this game, but lacking the necessary spare time to play, I soon laid it aside. Some days ago, I accidentally tripped over your videos about the Co gameplay, and the old love was lightened up again." So even bringing old players back into the game, that is perfect. You know, if it's reintroducing people to the game, if it's introducing people to the game, you know, I'm always happy with that. One final message that I want to read off here. "I want to share this game with my brother. Thank you for giving away these copies. After all, you made me buy this game." And that was part of the Company of Heroes giveaway that I was doing. So I'm really, really happy. These are every single message I read, every single comment that you guys leave on the Krebs Coho channel, I actually end up reading. It could be any single video. You could even leave a comment from a really, really old one. I read every single one. Obviously, I can't reply to every single one, but I read every single comment out there. And these are the ones that I've picked up as ones that have been introduced to Company of Heroes or reintroduced to Company of Heroes. And so I save them into a document because it just means mission accomplished, guys. That's absolutely fantastic. If you want this game to get bigger, to be shown to a wider audience, then this is what we're actually working towards. And I'm just really happy to be part of this process. And we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, the game seems to be still at quite a steady pace. But then again, you got to imagine if I wasn't around, then, you know, how much smaller would the game be? I don't know. I don't imagine that much smaller. But I could actually imagine maybe, you know, 100 or 200 people off there. So, you know, we're working towards this, and it can only get bigger and bigger over time, right? Just trying to keep you guys entertained with my videos, trying to improve the quality as much as I can, trying to improve the quality for any future people as well. And there we go, right? So that is a bit of my rant about why I'm doing Company of Heroes, why I'm doing these videos, why I'm trying to improve the quality for you guys, and also trying to lay to rest some of those frustrations that I had with the more hardcore fans, okay? So I hope you guys will enjoy my videos in the future as well, and maybe understand, maybe have a little bit more leeway. Sure enough, yes, these some of the things I do might be a bit frustrating, maybe they look noobish, but everything I do has a reason. It's not because I'm incompetent and don't know what I'm doing. I simply know everything, pretty much a lot about this game, almost everything I would say. And so I have a very, very good idea about what I'm doing. I have good situational awareness of what's happening on the map, of what's happening with my resources, and I'm doing everything for a reason, okay guys? So anyway, I hope you all have a very, very nice day, and of course until next time, see you all later.